So we're here to talk with someone from Edible Indy, and I want to introduce her and then get her thoughts on the Arbinator. Joining me today is Jennifer Rubenstein with Edible Indy. So I'm dying to know, Ms. Jennifer, what are your thoughts on the Arbinator?
I think I vomited in my mouth a little bit. That seriously, like my chest felt so tight when they showed the cheese oozing off of it. And you know what's even crazier is in my mind, I'm sitting here going, now how could we make that really fresh and healthy and local and bring it in with Fisher Farms meats? That's the kind of crap that I just listen to.
That's
in
the
my
way
head
your
all the
mind
time.
works,
all
huh?
the time. I'm
That's
thinking
funny.
people
You're like
would
deconstructing it and rebuilding it better.
Yeah, and how many people would absolutely like that on an Instagram post? If it wasn't from Arby's, but it was an Edible Indy, like homemade recipe, like, am I going to get 1,000 posts? Because I'll make it. If it's going to get
I
that.
think we might have uncovered a new opportunity. Well, thank you so much for joining me on our last show of this season. This is very, very fun. Go ahead and tell anyone who's watching who doesn't know about Edible Indy kind of what you do and what you've been up to.
Well, I probably eat way too much, but essentially I brought my little props.
Yes, please.
We actually are a seasonal publication that is all about the food. So we don't do reviews to a lot of people's dismay. They're like, you don't do reviews? No, we tell the story. We tell the story of the food from the ground up. So we really are hyper local. We try to find the stories that no one else is doing and tell them about the farmers, the producers, the artisans, and tell people why it's so important to infuse the economy with, buying local and bringing that money back. And of course, growing and eating the local food is really important too.
You really focus on kind of off the beaten path places, which I really
Yes.
like. It's not the places that we've all heard about a million times. It's you introduce us to new places. So give us a backstory on kind of how you ended up in this role and why you're doing what you're doing. Because your story is pretty interesting.
Oh, I don't
I've
know.
kind of stalked you a little bit.
Well, thanks. I don't know how interesting it is. I mean, I've had one of those careers where I might as well be an ambulance driver to, a chef. But no, I've been in marketing and advertising for most of my life. I won't say for how many years, but
10.
Yeah, we'll just go with 10. We'll go with 10. Some say, more, but anyways, so, it's been one of those passions that seeing things from the ground up being built, branding, whether it be stories or logos or whatever it might be. And one of the things that I used to do is I used to actually have a consulting firm. And so I did branding and consulting for some restaurants in town. And I actually sold ads into the Edible Indy before my husband and I bought it. And we loved the publication. We thought it was really beautiful. And I was a foodie at heart. One of the things that we used to do in my family on Sundays and Saturdays is we used to drive in northern Indiana before GPS, before the iPhones, before you knew where you were going, and just travel the back roads and find the little roadside stands and spots to eat and drink and have ice cream. And it was a lot of fun. So that resonated within the Edible Indy publication. And so they approached me, the previous owners approached me and said, hey, we want to sell. We really don't feel like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So do you want to buy it? And here we are. As my husband says, 4 years later, we bought a zoo. So, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, like you said, it's telling the food story. 4 years ago, it was just on the cusp, talking about local fresh ingredients. We literally, the first issue that we did, we had 10 restaurants in Indianapolis that listed themselves as a farm-to-table restaurant. And now that's just a common term for everyone to use, farm-to-table.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that we bought it at the right time.
So you're really focused on kind of telling the untold stories and getting the story behind why people are doing what they're doing, which I really like. Because when I think about, I haven't been to Arby's in over 10 years. Like, I want to go to places that I know their face, I know their family. I know when I go here and I get a meal here, it's supporting little Jimmy or their kids or like, I like that kind of backstory. So what has that been like for you? That must be rewarding to kind of connect with these businesses and the people working for them. But what does that process entail?
It's talking to people. I mean, every single person has a story. So it's really intriguing. I'm kind of like you. I love to just sit and talk and interview people. And so no matter who it is, food somehow is a part of their life. And we always say, if you're not laughing or crying at a dinner or a lunch, then you haven't prepared the meal right. And meaning that everyone tells stories. That's why you get together. That's why you break bread. And so, by talking with people, we uncover these amazing stories of people and how food has affected their life, good, bad, and ugly. And one of the things I've really been passionate about is in my PR and marketing days, there are fabulous publications out there, Indianapolis Monthly and Indy Star and, Yelp. All these people are doing great jobs to promote the city and to promote Central Indiana. And places like Milktooth and Rook and Neil Brown and all these great places, they get their PR and their press. But everybody tends to forget about all of the other people around. And so that's really what our focus is trying to find those neighborhood mom and pop places, and not even mom and pop places, but just the neighborhood places that are new. And now we've built on that so people come to us first.
Because you're a trusted you're a trusted advisor now, which
exactly.
is, you've got that authority, and I think people trust what you say, which is really good.
Yeah.
The publication itself, you said you've owned it now for 4 years.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
How would you describe its kind of morphing in those 4 years? How has it developed, and kind of where do you see it going in 2018 as well?
Sure. That's a really great question. We feel like we've definitely moved from this publication that was really it is photo heavy and maybe less about the editorial. The editorial was maybe a little bit more surfacey, surfacey, that's probably not
That's a word to me. I know what you meant.
Just Urban Dictionary it. But what we've done over the last couple of years is we've gained that process. Like you said, we've gained the trust. We've gained the ability to really be able to pay really great photographers and capture some of the skill sets of the graphic designers and the photographers, the writers, and we've just elevated everything, including our content. So we really are digging deeper into what the mission of each story is. Mm-hmm. And my newest managing editor, who also is the editor-in-chief of Edible Columbus, Ohio, so we've partnered and we've paired together, and she's been in the business for 10 years. She's taught me about this editorial arc and really trying to take one centered focus and try to be able to arc it so that everything is connected. And you can really see that in our winter issue, from the color scheme to the way that the photos are laid out to the cleanliness of the magazine. And that's really our focus, for moving into 2018, is to really still gain that white space, but make it look visually gorgeous and stunning and something that people want to have on their coffee tables.
It, to me, anytime I open it, it feels, don't go with me. Go with me. This is going to make sense. The same feeling I get when I open like an IKEA catalog, where it's like your mind just goes a million different directions and you can picture things and you have visions of what your future is going to look like and this and that. I feel the same way when I open this.
Aww.
Like it's an experience, and it takes you out of just flipping through pages, but it's creating in your mind so much more. It paints such an interesting picture. So thank you for doing it. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
It's a work of, anyone that you open, it's beautiful. So your photographers do an excellent job too.
We were I'm particularly proud of our winter issue. And it was funny, Monday we were actually on Fox 59 with Sherman, and we went to the Rail and we did 2 segments with the Rail.
Sure.
And of course, Toby up in Westfield, if you guys aren't familiar with the Rail, it's in Westfield, Indiana.
I've not been to the Rail.
Oh, Chef Toby Miles and his wife, Chef Melanie Miles, they're fantastic. And he said to me, I'm a graphic artist by design. And he said, so seeing this latest issue, he said, you're hitting every mark. That right there, it's like me telling a chef that they've hit every mark.
Yeah.
That was like, ding.
That's like pin a rose on your nose for the day.
Yeah, I couldn't wipe the smile off. So that makes me feel really, really good.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Edible Indy Foundation? Because you're doing some killer things out in the community, and I think it's really important for people who don't know about it to know what you've got going on, because it's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
You. So that's a little bit of a new project. My husband is also involved with the magazine. He is the wonderful CFO. He does our books, but he also, he actually runs the Golf Club of Indiana up in Zionsville. And for 11 years, almost 12 years, we have put on a golf outing specifically to raise money for another foundation that he actually started and he was a founding member of. And over the last year, we just started looking and we're raising all of this money and we're really super excited because in that amount of time, we've raised almost $500,000 and it went to a specific cause. Well, that cause really isn't aligning where we want to go anymore. And he said, you've supported my cause for so many times. Let's support yours. So with the Edible Indy Foundation, we got our official 501c3 approval in August. And so
that's a big deal. Good job.
Congratulations.
Was a lot
of work. Yeah. A lot of work. A lot of painstaking work. But yes, so we did it. So thank you. And we did our first golf outing under that particular name in September. And so what we actually sat down and decided is basically the Edible Indy Foundation is to connect Indiana youth with real food. So we do not want to we've been compared to the Patachou Foundation, which I really praise Martha Hoover and the Patachou Foundation.
Yeah, we've had them
fabulous.
On the show. They're fabulous, yeah.
And we have nothing, we're not even comparable to them because really what we want to do is we want to look at doing micro grants, meaning that we have the ability to immediately provide a micro grant to an organization, to an individual group. And what our focus is going to be, and we're working on all of that right now in 2018, is going to be to partner with garden towers. And we will be helping to put garden towers in schools all over the state. So somebody can come to us and say, we would like to start an indoor garden tower. And we can say, okay, we're going to be able to help you to provide that. We're going to help you set up a curriculum with that. We're going to walk you through the composting and all of the stages from the beginning to the end. We're doing it we're going to start very small. We're hoping that in the fall of 2018 that we'll be able to have enough funds and enough of that information available to actually start implementing those for the 2018 years.
That's incredible. It also reminds me, I have to give her a shout out too, since I'm in the driver's seat today. This reminds me of about 2 years ago, I have a niece, Paisley, who's 7, who came home from school one day and had just learned about compost. And so she was like, you put it in and then you close the thing and then it's compost. And it was just like... It was just so cute to me that
cool.
It's cool. It's
Kids
always
love
cool
that.
no matter what age you are, but that just jogged my memory of that. What are the towers? What is that?
Garden towers. So
yes, what's a garden tower?
What they are is there's multiple of them all throughout the United States, but there's actually a group called the Garden Tower Project in Noblesville, and they create out of like the 50-pound or the 50-gallon oil containers. They actually create gardens that have composting mechanisms in the bottom, and then they also have all of these. I'm not mechanically inclined, but they have all of these things.
And then it's compost.
You put it in, and then it grows. But it has like a watering system, and you put all of your dirt in it, and then you plant your seeds. So you can plant tomatoes, strawberries, things that are going to not be so heavy. You're not going to necessarily plant radishes, tomatoes probably on the top, but then itself, you water it and it self composts. So you put your eggshells in, and you have your worms in the bottom. But it's really cool because it's inside, so it's an indoor garden that. It just starts that process so that then they know the whole process of gardening, and then they can take it outside and they can hopefully create raised beds and they can actually do a real program.
That's incredible.
So we'll see how it works. It's kind of we're very nervous because whenever you start something new, and then you've got places like Kimball Musk's new place, and they're doing they're doing raised bed gardens, and they are amazing. But again, they're getting $500,000 worth of grants. That's not. There's still a place for the smaller places because those are the people that we're missing. We're missing those one-off schools or the small schools who they don't have that type of funding or grants.
Well, this kind of goes into my next question, which is, what do you think Indianapolis doesn't know about the food culture? You have an inside perspective. What do you want people to know about the foodie culture here in Indianapolis? What should they know?
That we have one.
That we
have one, and stop eating the Arbinator. Seriously, folks. I mean, that's my biggest. That is one of my biggest. I have to watch my words here because I really want to. I'm a swearer, so I want to swear.
You can cuss a little bit.
It's one of my biggest bitches about this community is that we're fat, we're lazy, we're overweight, and we eat too much fast food in chains. I mean, we are a chain mecca here. If you don't have a chain and you don't have a church on every corner, then we're not Central Indiana. But we're never going to stop that. That's just the culture here. But what we can do is, we need to start supporting all of these local places. And, there's the Indy Star has all this week, Liz has been writing all about all of the closings, the surprising closures. They're not surprising, though. That's the thing, is this isn't surprising. Because if you're not out there supporting it
with dollars,
right, with physical dollars.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, I'm waiting in your room, out in your lobby, and I heard somebody say, hey, we're going to pick up Public Shoe Fly for food. And I was so excited to hear that because, again, that's a place that is off the beaten path.
So good.
Oh, my gosh, their tacos are... I love your tacos, your lamb tacos, your Viking lamb tacos, which is the local lamb provider. It's fabulous. It's absolutely, yeah.
I also want to talk about, since it's gifting season, and there's still time, kind of, not to have it in hand, but I want to talk about getting a subscription.
Yes.
Because this would be a great gift for anyone who likes food or culture or Indianapolis or just about just pretty things that you can put on your coffee table, for one thing. Can you tell us kind of what that process looks like and how people can sign up for a subscription?
So we are a free publication, and we distribute in 60 different locations in central Indiana. But what happens is we get those out, and they are off the shelf in 2 weeks. So what we say is we gift home delivery. So we don't necessarily gift the subscription, we gift home delivery, which means that you, for $32, you get 4 issues delivered in the mail to your house, and you can use them for whatever you want to use them for. Coffee tables. We even had somebody who posted last year. They used our Edible Indy, and they wrapped all their gifts in Edible Indy, and I loved
that's
it.
really smart. That's
I'm
really
like,
pretty.
But you can go to our website, you can go to our homepage, edibleindy.com, and you can order the subscription. There's a subscription button right on the homepage. And what's really cool is if you do order it and you gift it, even if it's whenever you put in that you gift a subscription. So there's a button that says you can gift the subscription. I will hand write a note personally on our Edible Indy stationery that says this is gifted from and whoever it's from, and that goes in the mail. And I personally put each issue in the mail at the beginning, and then they go through our fulfillment
What
center.
a nice touch. So. Good for you. Thanks for doing stuff like that.
Thank you.
Keep it small, keep it local, keep it,
We'll love handwritten notes. Yeah, love the heart and soul of Edible Indy. Seriously, and that's what it is, the heart and soul of whatever you do.
No, and your passion for it is palpable, and I love your energy.
Aww.
Also, before we start to wrap up, you have some amazing partners that I'm sure you can't list them in full from A to Z, but do you have any today? I'm all about dishing out the love today. Do you have any partners you want to shout out?
Well, I know they're big fans of yours, and you've had them on. Brittany Smith with Yelp. She is fabulous.
My little mascot.
I love her. She's my other redheaded buddy. I love them. Thanks to Sherman Burdett and Fox 59 for always carrying Edible Indy. Thanks for our advertisers, C&T Design. They're fabulous. They've been our back cover sponsor, and they have also...
Which is also beautiful.
They are so wonderful. And C&T Design and Equipment, their kitchen... they are a kitchen equipment vendor, and they actually also do a lot with Second Helpings, and we create every year Fast and Furious Forks, which is a sous chef competition, and we give out over $5,000.
When is that?
Last year it was, or earlier this year it was in June. We haven't set a date for in 2018, but we'll keep you abreast.
Yes, please do, because that sounds like something we would want to be a part of, because
it
sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then the last, if I can, knowing how we met, actually I want to give a big shout out because we broke the news yesterday that Greg Hardesty is coming back, and he's actually going to be an executive chef consultant for Spoken Steel, who we're going to be working with a lot in 2018, and going to be helping them to really brand themselves as the neighborhood downtown restaurant to go to.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Well, and as you know, I think that they're one of the most underrated restaurants in the state.
Very exciting news.
Yeah, so thanks for having us.
I want to make sure everyone knows how to connect with you and stalk you the way that I did. Website, edibleindy.ediblecommunities.com. Can you tell us about Edible Communities? Explain the relationship there, too.
I will. Okay. And first of all, it's just edibleindy.com.
Okay.
It just... it reverts to that. So what Edible Indy is we actually are part of the Edible Indy community. So we license the name Edible Indy and the brand, but everything else is ours. But we are part of a larger community in North America where there's 90 publications that all are hyper local. So pretty much every major city in the United States and some in Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, has an edible publication, and we all do the same thing. And I aspire to be so many of them. I look at we actually get them in the mail pretty much every day, and every time I'm like, damn it.
I should have done that.
That cover just kills me. So, but you can actually, on the ediblecommunities.com, you can actually go there and you can get a discounted rate if you want to buy more than one subscription. So you can go there, you can buy an Edible Indy subscription, and then you can add on Edible Seattle or Edible Ojai
That's
Valley.
a really good idea.
It's really cool.
That's
it's
a very
super
smart
cool.
idea. Well, because even if you don't go there, even if you go there once a year or whatever, you've been there once before, just knowing, just having it for information's sake is very, plus it's pretty. It's all pretty.
It is. And at edibleindy.com and ediblecommunities.com, you have to go to their websites. Yeah. So, anything edible, because we have weekly content that is up there. Like right now on our website, edibleindy.com, it's the most wonderful winter cocktail. We have 30 cocktails. There's about 7 that are local, from a Hotel Tango to actually Ocean Prime in Palomino popped in. We have some from Tinker Street. We have our own. We have a crayon orange vanilla margarita that I made that will be on Fox 59 on Wednesday. I'll be presenting that.
I might need to take that to my in-laws this
Oh,
weekend.
I'm telling you, I should have brought a picture of them. We probably wouldn't sound as cohesive right now, but no, seriously, like that's anybody that wants that local food connection, go to ediblecommunities.com. You can see all of the edibles there, but definitely edibleindy.com. We have just so much content
also
there.
Twitter at Edible Indy,
Instagram,
Facebook Edible Indy, and Instagram.
We make it easy.
Marketing, check. Good for you.
Yes.
Jennifer, thank you so much for joining me. This has been great. Please keep us updated on anything we can do to help, because you're doing good work.
And same with you. Let us know. We need to do this more often. I would love to come in on
and thank you for my chocolate too.
Yes, I did bring her
She brought me some chocolate.
A shout out to our partner, DeBrand's Chocolate, who just opened up at Keystone.
Thank you, DeBrand's Chocolate. You're very good.